Good.
And the most important thing is that every time you go to work, you get a dolly zoom. And every time you come back, the dolly zoom goes in the other direction.
That's right. I am all about a dolly zoom, actually. I could be tempted here.
Okay. So when you're podcasting, do you ever experience a dolly zoom moment where it's just like, holy shit?
Maybe.
What's the audio equivalent of a dolly zoom? Is it like backing away from the microphone while turning up the gain?
Yes.
And then turning it back down as you get closer.
Oh my God.
So many possible worlds, but we got this one. So many possible worlds, but we got this one.
Welcome to the Worst of All Possible Worlds, the first and only podcast that comes equipped with dolly shots. I am the worst of all possible AJs.
I'm the worst of all possible Bryans.
And I'm the worst of all possible Joshes. So we are back for yet another installment of Whit's Endless Summer, the ongoing sub-series of the Worst of All Possible Worlds, in which we listen to and recap episodes of Adventures in Odyssey, the Christian children's radio drama. And we have a very special guest joining us yet again. They've been on our show before. First time around, it was to discuss the pirate infiltration of Odyssey as part of our Whit's Endless Summer series. That was episode 33, Blackguard Begins. That was the one with Brian's solo show.
That was the one, yeah.
Delightful. More recently, you may remember them from our episode about the vile Gerbert. You can also catch Devon on Kill James Bond, a podcast about portrayals of masculinity in film, as well as every Monday and Thursday on a Twitch stream known as The Traditional Scrunch, of which I, Josh, that's me, am a member alongside Trinket. And yes, it is, of course, Devon. Devon, welcome back.
Wow. I do a lot, it turns out. I had also completely memory holed the Gerbert episode we recorded. And I just then learned that this is my third appearance on.
I mean, technically, the guest on the Gerbert episode was the Traditional Scrunch. So this is your second solo guest appearance.
Yeah, you're severed into a third bit there.
That's
with
right.
Scratch.
Yeah. An idiot, Audi, and a Gerby.
Yeah.
Again, you guys haven't really satisfactorily explained the Innie or Audi thing to me yet, but that's fine. We probably don't have to do that on the episode.
Yeah.
I would love nothing more, Devon. So you see, there's this organization called Luma.
We're not doing this.
No, stop.
Because it's Valentine's Day, folks.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
It's not Valentine's Day. It's a little after Valentine's Day. Don't worry about it. Do not fucking bother me about this because we were talking about love. We were talking about specifically various aspects of love, which now that Donald Trump is the chairman of the Kennedy Center is going to be playing year round in Washington, D.C.
Hell yeah.
Because he loves Andrew Lloyd Webber.
He sure does.
But yeah, I thought it would be fun to look at some of the different ways that this show, as a vehicle of evangelical propaganda to little homeschool kids, the way that it wants to portray different types of love. There are some episodes that do get into like rom-com territory from around, the era that we're sort of ostensibly in right now. But there's so many of them. They all have a lot of continuity. So you need like this 2-parter to understand this 3-parter and all of this other stuff. And I was like, I don't want to fucking do that. We're going to look at a bunch of different kinds of episodes today.
Yeah.
And we're also going to learn a lot about the history of Valentine's Day that is all totally fake.
We're going through all the types of love today. We got agape. We got philia. We got storge. My favorite kind of love.
We've got
storge.
We've got platonic.
That's
Platonic,
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Platonic.
We do. Yep.
Compersion.
That's right. That was one that I was not expecting, was the poly episode.
Yeah.
Thanks for including that one, Brian.
Eugene loves to watch. What can we say?
That's not polyamory. That's something else entirely.
Well, I mean, it can be part of polyamory.
It's not on you to define his relationship for him.
Yeah, it's Eugene sitting on the sidelines experiencing intense storge.
That's not how it's...
What are you talking about?
It is a type of friendship love. It is an
Storge.
affection of... Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I like
store gay.
I like pronouncing
Gay.
it
Yeah, no, I know
storage.
that one.
Yes, no,
gay?
gay. Yes,
Gay.
yes.
Yeah,
When
no,
you're
I know
familiar,
all about
it's
that
gay.
one.
You're telling me
gay
this
at
now
the
for the first
store.
time. We've got 4 episodes, and every single one of them is written by a different person. We don't always get that.
Yeah, including some people with no other writing credits.
The first episode that we have in our set today is that episode. This is episode 562, The Last I Do. And this is the episode about St. Valentine. This was originally aired on the radio on February 12, 2005. It was written by somebody known as Leilani Wells and directed by Bob Hoose, who is he's still the executive producer of the show, right?
I think he's in a bigger role because I don't think any of the like Adventures in Odyssey people are full time at Focus on the Family anymore. Bob Hoose is full time as one of the reviewers for Plugged In. He's like one of the resident gamers. He's like a 65-year-old man who just loves to play video games.
He's like a real gamer girl. I love
really
that for him.
I think we've read a couple of his reviews a few times on the show.
Yeah, I'm sure I have.
I actually just this past week went on All Gamers Are Bastards and to talk about System Shock 2, which is, as we all know, a special interest of mine.
Yeah.
Ended up talking quite a bit as well about Thief and Thief 2.
Really?
I'm shocked.
That surprises me.
I know it's startling. But my point in all this is that I got to introduce somebody to the concept of Plugged In and got to read a Plugged In review on the podcast. So yeah, Kay, thank you if you're listening to this, thank you for giving me the opportunity to ruin your life with the cursed knowledge of Plugged In magazine.
I, however, have never received such thanks for you ruining my life for having to listen to this goddamn show so many times,
AJ?
Joshua Borman.
AJ, thank you.
Yes, that's that storage love I've been looking for. So this episode, the last I do.
The last I do. This is an episode about, as I was saying, St. Valentine. It is a retelling of that myth, kind of. And this one starts with a little bit of our beloved Connie Kendall, the indentured servant at Whit's End, the teenage question mark employee who has a lot of side hustles but spends most of her time working at Whit's End. One of the other things she has, though, is a radio show.
Which is also at Whit's End.
And now, Adventures in Odyssey.
Hello, everyone. This is Connie Kendall, and welcome back to Kids Radio, where our topic is Valentine's Day.
And she gets this letter from a kid.
Nice.
Her name is all Valentined out. She's sick of this shit. She was up all night writing a little Valentine on a prepackaged Valentine's Day card for every single one of her 3rd grade classmates.
That's right.
And she needs
Fucked up.
She needs Connie to tell everyone what's going on here. She can't Google this.
Devon, was that, because I certainly remember in American, elementary school, that whole thing of like, you would have to get the prepackaged Valentines and, each one would have like a piece of candy and you give one to everyone in the class. Was that how it was for you growing up as well?
Fascinating. No, not at all. No, we didn't have the
okay.
sort of like, well, I can only speak specifically to my own upbringing in like the rural West Country, right? But we didn't have that, no. There was no expectation you'd buy it for everyone. I think it was only about true love. These kids.
Wow.
Christmas cards, though, everyone is getting, obviously.
I just gotta say, I love that Adventures in Odyssey upgraded its theme song the same time we did. I think that's really nice.
Well,
So
yeah, this episode is a little bit of an outlier. This is in fact from the last album I ever owned as a kid. So this is from the album Eugene Returns.
That's when they finally agreed to pay him on a SAG contract when he came back, right?
So this was the last thing. I was like, well, finally, okay, I've got to come back. I've got to listen. I got to hear what happens when Eugene returns. Then he returned and I was like, okay, I'm a teenager. I need to stop doing this.
You're like, holy shit, Eugene's back? Wait a minute, I don't care about this. I don't care.
This is 2005. You would have been, what, 14 at the time, Brian?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
There's conflicting feelings of like, oh shit, Eugene's back versus like, hang on, I've just noticed the other gender. Wait a minute.
This is kind of wild because this is a Catholic thing, right? We are talking about a Catholic saint.
Yeah, that's really how I felt too. I was like, I don't remember the last time a saint was even mentioned on Odyssey, if ever.
Yeah,
in our
well, I
episodes
mean,
that we've
part of
listened
that
to.
is just because we're not at that point yet, but there are other saint episodes. I was surprised to find that this wasn't Paul McCusker. Because, and McCusker, of
the
course,
one who eventually became Catholic.
Yeah, he converted to Catholicism. He works for a Catholic organization, only writing radio dramas about saints now.
That's so fucked up. I hate that. What a
like
pervert.
there are other stories about also various famous Protestants as well. But like there's like Saint Patrick. There's other ones, and this Saint Valentine's one is written by this Leilani Wells, whoever she is. Never wrote another episode. Doesn't seem to have any kind of other footprint anywhere.
Well, I'll tell you what she did have a footprint for. The footprint of Claudius.
What?
Ooh,
The fuck are you saying right now, Josh?
I don't know. I was trying to do a smooth transition. It just didn't work out.
Look, when there's one set of footprints in the sand, those were Claudius.
That's when Claudius carried you.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
Connie has decided to take on this task of explaining Valentine's Day, which, because she's a Protestant, is like, let's go back to the original text here. Rather than like, here's what it can mean to you. It's like, well, here's why it's important. There was this guy in Rome named Valentinus, and and this is during the reign of Claudius II, which has this very funny music cue as Connie gets into the story.
It all began in 269 AD. Valentine lived in Rome, and the Roman emperor was Claudius II, or, as some called him, Claudius the Cruel.
He's a nasty guy, is Claudius.
Yeah, he is. He's a real jerk. She
launches right into like a radio play. I can only assume she's doing all these voices in canon.
Yeah,
she has all the Foley on the table in front of her for the walking of the footsteps.
Well, because usually when they have this format where it's like they're doing the radio play now at the radio studio at Whit's End, and they're basically, that conceit is you have the characters from the regular show playing Bible characters.
Mostly
it's like, it's Solomon, but it's Harlow Doyle. You know?
Yeah, no, this is actually a very strange. This is very, very strange because who are these people?
Yeah,
like who are these voices?
Is this like a whole new cast?
Yeah, I
guess I wouldn't know.
It's entirely unclear who these people are, and it's almost as if this is a play that is taking place within Connie's imagination that we are somehow hearing as the audience.
It's really live on the air. It's just dead air because she's just like staring off into the distance.
Imagining it. I'm also noticing that some of the voice actors are literally unknown on the. I've navigated over the AIOwiki.com.
Yeah, there are some blank spots here. It's
Felix. Voice actor unknown, very unknown.
This should just be an Imagination Station episode. Like, I don't 100% understand why it's not. I guess because it has to do with marriage, and they're not like, what would a kid like be interested in marriage? But they have to talk about it because some very big things
because
with
marriage is important. AJ,
marriage is very important.
When did this air? Do we know the exact air date for this one?
2005.
Yeah, so some big stuff was happening, perhaps, with marriage around that time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted real quick to pull it through just to the core of this episode in terms of what it's doing as a piece of propaganda.
Absolutely.
Right? Because what happens is that Claudius, who's very cruel, as we learn from that.
Claudius Gothicus.
He basically is like, hey, if you spend time with your family, like if you have a family or whatever, that makes you a worse soldier. And so I need to issue an edict outlawing marriages.
If the men are more concerned with their families than fighting for their emperor, then changes must be made. A family man longs only for home, not victory. Yes, perhaps that is my course of action.
My lord?
I will issue an edict outlawing all marriages.
I beg your pardon?
Marcus, make this decree. Anyone who performs marriage ceremonies will be put to death.
Well, that's...
Just seems like an extreme thing to go straight to, if I'm honest, but
Now, this is one where I didn't have time to like check the actual historical record and see how it stacks up against the myth. Is there anything to this in the record?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting tradition around St. Valentine, because if you look at the actual hagiographies from way, way back, Valentinus and his whole thing is a little confusing, Right. This is going as far back as the 200s AD. There are 3 guys who are known as Valentinus who all died on February 14th, which probably means there was one guy, but people like localized him. It's like, oh yeah, he was the bishop of this town. Oh yeah, there's like one of them is in Africa, for instance. So the old myth of Valentine in the Catholic and Orthodox traditions, well, and in the Orthodox Church as well, the other Valentines, they actually have 2 different Saints' Day for Valentine for each one, for 2 of them that are recognized. And they're in like July, not in February. In the early Catholic and Orthodox traditions, he's just a guy who was being persecuted because he was a Christian, and he healed a couple blind people. Depends on who you ask which blind people they were. And even these stories are dating back to, I think, 800 at the earliest. And so we don't have this association with Valentine and romantic love or storge even.
You know what? I do feel storge for all 3 of you. I really
fuck
do.
Up. I feel no storge for you.
No, I need my storge.
That's what all my prepackaged Valentine's cards said when I was in 3rd grade.
Storage you, and it's just a picture of his rain slowly dying.
So
I'm feeling compersion when you get a good joke off, though.
Oh, thanks.
No storge, but like
actually, we have the British to thank for all of this association of Valentine with love. The first time that it comes up in any kind of written form is Chaucer.
Really?
Yeah, Chaucer writes this long poem about birds fucking. I guess this was sort of the general belief among, I don't know if it was a widespread medieval belief, an English medieval belief, whatever, was that birds couple up in February.
That is correct, yeah.
So he links that coupling of the birds with this feast of Saint Valentine.
Devon, if you look outside right now, can you see 2 birds snuggling up?
I mean, I literally can, yeah. There's a pair of seagulls on the roof of the apartment building opposite that I've been watching with some interest.
Incredible.
I love that. I've been noticing that you've been looking out every so often. That's great.
Well, I'm also looking over towards my other screen here where I'm trying to get to the bottom of a couple of jokes you guys made.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Hopefully in order to laugh at them while they're still like in the
what can we do to explain that? What can we do to help you out?
No, I wouldn't worry about it at all. I've gotten distracted by thinking about how good a confirmation name Valentine is.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Because then you get to be a vampire and a zombie and Jason from Friday the 13th.
Yeah. It's true.
I would go St. Luigi these days, though. If you
we have this idea of Valentine as this now like patron saint of love.
Yeah.
And somehow into that is incorporated this idea that he like clandestinely married people.
Yeah, that there was some period in the Roman Empire where it was illegal to love.
And this is there any historical grounding to that?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Do you think they outlawed marriage for a bit in the Roman Empire? To be fair, I mean, I guess they outlawed Christmas over here. Like, maybe there was one insane guy who did it for like a couple of days.
They didn't outlaw it here. They declared war on it.
Yeah,
certainly in the States. But I don't think that war was ever won.
Maybe
or fought. Actually,
I'm fucking fighting the war against Christmas. I'm doing it every goddamn day. Don't tell me how to live.
I have successfully kept Christmas from happening 364 days of the year.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
it's just the one left. It's just the one left.
Percentage-wise, though, that's a pretty good record. It's pretty good.
You let it through one time though, and no one stops talking about it. It's
no one. It's the one time.
Let all gathered here witness that Justin and Anna have been joined together in the sight of God as husband and wife. You may seal this commitment with a kiss.
The first thing you're going to notice here is that how they celebrated marriages in the Roman Empire is identical to how we did it in 2005 America. That's the number one thing that you're going to want to take home. I also like that multiple times throughout this episode, St. Valentine says something akin to like, families are the backbone of our civilization.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, brother, definitely.
Oh no, a big problem comes to this very wedding. A new edict comes down the pike.
Yeah.
There's a guy who just shows up, and I guess he must be carrying like a big, fucking scroll or something.
Stop this wedding.
This is my favorite guy. No, he doesn't stop this wedding. This one's fine, but from
stop
this
the next
point
wedding.
From here going forward.
All right. Stop starting now.
This is the best character in the entire history of the show, I think.
All citizens, lend me your ears.
What is this about?
Curious. A new edict from the Emperor.
I haven't heard of a new edict.
That's why it's
Soldier, what is this about?
I have 100 more notices to post. Read it yourself.
A new edict. I don't give a shit what it says, and I'm not gonna fucking tell you. It's on the sign.
Excuse
Read
me.
the sign, pal.
New edict. What is it? Shut up. Shut up.
So then we get to this point that you were talking about, Devon, where Saint Valentine is like, you can't ban marriage. You can't do it.
You can't fucking ban marriage.
Here's why.
Marriage can't simply be outlawed. It's a creation of God. Claudius thinks he can reject God's law with a simple stroke of a pen. Marriage is the foundation of strong families, and families have always been the backbone of our civilization. Claudius has declared war on families, and we must fight back, Titus.
I agree with you, Valentine, but we can't do anything about it now.
I will not sit idly by and wait for our society to crumble under this man's rule.
Yeah, the backbone of Roman society, which we want to uphold, which is so great, is built on marriage. And I, Saint Valentine, part of a Christian minority in this pagan polytheistic empire, will do everything I can to protect marriage so that I can save Rome.
So this is where we need to do a very brief sidebar into what was happening in the United States at this time.
Let's crack in, baby.
Yeah, because a bunch of homosexuals were trying to outlaw marriage for the rest of us.
That's right, Brian. Yeah. So this episode, of course, as we said, was aired in February 2005. And exactly 1 year before that, beginning on February 12 of 2004, Gavin Newsom.
I've heard of that gentleman.
Yeah. The then mayor of San Francisco directed the clerk to issue marriage licenses to gay couples.
Yep.
And a whole bunch of gay couples showed up at City Hall in San Francisco and got married. And this was the first time that you had like a significant number of same-sex marriages in the United States. And this freaked Focus on the Family the fuck out.
They put a lot of money into combating it too, if I remember. Yeah.
I should also mention that same year, 2004, Massachusetts also began issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples. Now, that actually started in May, so it was a little bit after what had started in California. But, you know, these are two of the most liberal states in the country, both of whom were now allowing gay couples to get married. And obviously, Focus could not tolerate that.
This is something I think it's always worth talking about, right? Because a lot of Gen Z and below maybe don't realize just how recently marriage equality and things like that
how
won.
rapidly it was. Bill Clinton had signed the Defense of Marriage Act, which was also a ban against gay marriage. And Focus on the Family put all of this money into something called Proposition 8 because California has actual direct democracy kind of things where you can vote on a ballot measure that will then pass a law in the state. Proposition 8 was a statewide ban on gay marriage. Focus on the Family put shitloads of money into it. Right in this point, in the middle of this decade, they were making the most revenue that they had ever made.
Yeah, they still haven't gotten back to that point, revenue-wise, where they were at this point, because they were riding the culture war wave. You know, evangelical Christians were desperately seeking Susan. They were desperately seeking somebody who would fight for them.
That's right.
And for their right to make sure that gay people couldn't have the right to get married.
And James Dobson, the president at this time of Focus on the Family, would regularly pray in the morning with George W. Bush personally.
Cool.
And it's so funny to me because this whole episode is like Claudius, the government of Rome, is trying to enforce and destroy marriage. Yeah. And I'm like, motherfucker, you had George W. Bush in the White House.
Yeah.
And you are writing this bullshit episode. It is maddening. They need to be subjugated. They fucking need like the heel on their neck or they can't feel fucking happy. Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
In addition, Valentine really puts the point on to the children listening to this show where they need to go with this, which is,
Father, do you realize that if you defy Claudius, it will cost you your life?
Wouldn't you rather die fighting for families than allow the family itself to die? That is what we must decide. My decision is already made.
What is your choice, Titus?
You must die. You must welcome death.
To die.
Death is your only companion.
Odyssey episodes we talked about before, they were a bit more fun. They were more campy. They were more plot forward. This is straight up propaganda.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm curious how it hit you.
This is very fun because it is just like very much directly to the kids listening. Holy shit, guys. The homosexuals are getting married. It's over. Our civilization is crumbling unless you come to this. I mean, I kind of agree with AJ. There's basically nothing worth salvaging from this apart from the jailer's voice, which I found very fun the whole time.
Now that, we know how important families are, Valentine decides that he's willing to fight Claudius. He's willing to die. Mm-hmm. And then one of the things that they need to do is go rescue Titus. I'm not going to worry about establishing these characters.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to play some of these
Valentine's like boy is like
Titus Andronicus.
Yeah, well, Valentine has a lot of compersion for Titus because he's like Titus. I see you've got eyes for what is her name, Paulina.
Yeah, so amazing.
You two, you're going to get
she's
married.
Later stolen by a giant ape.
So Titus has been illegally marrying people and is in prison, so they have to go and rescue him by just removing one rock from the outside wall.
It's very exciting.
And while they're running out of the prison, Titus is like proposing to Paulina.
Yeah, they're doing it on the run, which is kind of fun. Like
it could be fun. It just kind of, I didn't think it was.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, there's a part later in the episode that I think is more fun, kind of using the same idea. But I did pull this clip from the escape of Titus from the prison cell because I think it's so funny. Brian, could you play this for me?
Titus, over here. I knew you'd come. Squeeze through. Hurry.
Motherfucker.
Can we play just that? Can we play that one more time?
Well, because we have a couple of these. Because there's also this one.
You are under arrest. There you go.
So sexual. Oh my god. Their penises are getting instorged.
Oh.
Yeah.
Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah.
No, you're no. I don't
you're
think so.
probably right, but I don't like it.
So we go back to Caesar, and he's like, "Do we have more recruits for the war?"
You're asking the wrong
And then
questions.
his vizier or whatever is like, "Turns out that our guys don't want to go to war either way." And he's like, "What? Why? Why?" He's trying to do some fun Disney villain stuff, but they're giving him nothing.
But let's jump forward here to the jailer, right? I feel like that's a good thing to talk about here.
Yeah, there's already been like a second escape where then they get married on the run. And he's like, "Oh, do you? I do. Do you? I do. Okay, great. Turn left, turn right. Avoid the baskets.
You may kiss.
Yeah.
No, not now."
So Valentine is now in jail. And this is actually finally connecting back to the, like, not original story, but the old written down story before Chaucer came in and fucked it all up and made it all limey. And Valentine is in jail, and his jailer is just this. I like the whole setup that they have is like these jails are just like privately run by families. Mm-hmm. I don't know what Roman jail was like, but I hope it was like this. There's something so fucking weird.
It's a family-run jail.
And so
nice.
this jailer has his blind daughter who is talking to Valentine too much, and he's hitting on her.
Yeah, he needs to leave this young woman alone.
Yeah, so the jailer father takes up issue with this, and here's Felix.
Julia, what has taken you so long? There are other scum to feed.
Yes, Father.
You have a lovely daughter.
Lovely? She's blind.
Lovely. She's blind.
Lovely.
Can we hear that one more time, Brian?
Yes.
Julia, what has taken you so long? There are other scum to feed.
Yes, Father.
You have a lovely daughter.
Lovely? She's blind.
Stay away from him. We've got plenty of other scum to feed. It's one of my favorite accents of all time, and I wish I knew who did it, but as stated, the actor is unknown. Lost to history.
What I love about it is that it's such like a cartoonish sort of accent. And then over the course of it, like he kind of becomes a good guy.
Well, that was the weirdest thing.
Doing the voice.
Yeah, you stop being Cockney when you become good. Like when Christ enters your heart.
That's right.
It poshes you up a little bit.
Yeah,
it releases the rhyming slang completely.
That's just the message of My Fair Lady.
Exactly.
That's what we learned from My Fair Lady.
Yeah, she becomes an ardent follower of the Lord.
That's right. But
that's what George Bernard Shaw was really trying to get across to everyone, was that we needed more religion.
Yeah.
See, Valentine keeps hitting on this. I think she's
a teenage girl. This is young child.
She's very young. Keep that man away from her, please.
She's like, she brings him some flowers, and she's like, I'd like you to help explain these flowers to me. And Valentine teaches this blind woman how to feel things with her fingers. It's like, oh, I never thought to do that before.
Hey there, you are listening to a preview of a premium episode of The Worst of All Possible Worlds. If you'd like to listen to the rest of this, head on over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/worstofall. And you can listen to not only the rest of this episode, but our entire backlog of premium episodes, bonus episodes, and if you subscribe at the $10 tier, you will get an extra episode of the podcast every single month. Again, that is patreon.com/worstofall. Hope to see you there.